central problem. They could send the ships across the galaxy in an instant, but because the far end wasn't anchored at a gateway, they couldn't send living passengers. So instead of performing one space-time fold between here and there, the solution Jennifer had proposed involved breaking the entire trip into a series of much smaller folds, sort of like a Chinese fan. If everything went right, the series of space-time coordinates would produce a jitter in the gravity distortion drive, resulting in a sequence of minor wormhole steps that should be individually survivable. Wrapping himself in the ship's internal stasis field, Raoul glanced at Jennifer, tempted to leave her to be thrown about. But the terror at the idea of being the lone survivor of a trip to a random point in the galaxy ended the thought before it fully formed. With a flick of his mind, the stasis field tightly cradled her body, locking it in place. Then, the universe came apart around them. Standing inside the Kasari starship that rested within the Los Alamos National Laboratory's Row Division, Jennifer felt its wormhole engines ramp to full power. In seconds, a gravitational wave packet would thrust this ship through the resulting wormhole to an unknown destination, hopefully somewhere in this galaxy. Raoul had used the Row ship to interfere with Jennifer, Mark, and Heather's efforts to destroy the Stevenson Gateway, thus forcing her to take drastic action. The sudden vision of what the wormhole would do to the surrounding high bay and the scientists who were on duty left her sick to her stomach and almost made her lose focus. But if she was to have any chance of surviving this, she couldn't allow her concentration to lapse. The connection through her headset to the Altrean starship that rested inside the Bandolier Cave, a dozen miles southwest of the Row laboratory, had provided her with the solution she'd mentally transferred to Raoul. But that didn't mean it would work. When the force field draped her body, it startled her so badly that she almost succumbed to a panic attack at her inability to move even a finger. But then she understood. Raoul had caused the Row ship to generate the field that immobilized both their bodies and suspended them inside this compartment. Not a bad idea, considering what she feared was about to happen. And then it did. The first of many thousands of mini-steps was instantaneous. It was a sudden, unintelligible shift in perspective as the cells in her body tried to tear themselves apart. Pain exploded in her mind, and she lost sight in her left eye. Only the extensive neural augmentation she'd received when she'd first tried on the headset allowed her to restrict the blood flow to the ruptured vessels. Then it happened again, and again, and again. The transitions happened so quickly that she barely retained consciousness and then wished that she hadn't. She experienced an endless battering that left her blinded and gasping as overstressed bones cracked and splintered within her body. Jennifer felt a scream crawl to her lips and bubble out in a bloody froth that spread along the invisible force field encasing her. Despite the best efforts of her augmented mind and musculature, she was dying. A part of her begged for death to release her from the agony, but Jennifer refused to let death take her without a fight. Although she knew this was a fight, she wasn't going to win. Despite the amazing regenerative powers his nanite-infused blood granted him, Raoul felt as if he were being hammered into pieces. Although each individual wormhole transit was instantaneous, the unanchored step into a new piece of space-time generated G-forces that the human body couldn't handle, and the pauses between those steps unleashed an unending sea of agony. But as he glanced across at the bloody mess that was Jennifer Smythe, he had a hard time feeling sorry for himself. She was still alive, but given that she lacked the nanites that worked to repair his wounds, he really didn't know how. When the series of transitions came to an abrupt end, Raoul endured several seconds of dread that the wormhole transits would begin anew. The knowledge that he had made it, that his nanites would be able to fully heal his injuries, sent a wave of relief that brought bloody tears to his eyes. Another look at Jennifer Smythe's suspended body swept that warm feeling away in a fresh wave of terror. Manipulating the stasis field, Raoul lowered her body gently to the alien compartment's grave floor, where her blood pooled around her. The neural net told him many things, all bad. Jennifer wasn't breathing, and her heart had stopped beating. Worse, she had taken so much damage that chest compressions were out of the question. But she still had brain function.